guys, fellow hunters, Behemoth is pretty good. I am absolutely in love, and I think I am in love for a very specific reason, in that raiding in your classic MMO, your WoW-esque, or indeed your Final Fantasy XIV, which I suppose would be more appropriate, has always been a great love of mine. I have led guilds through many a fearsome boss.
Dodge the whale, we're safe.
Focus on survival now, guys.
Of God, kill the boss.
We did it.
Come on, you fucking legends.
Come on! Come
on!
Yes!
Easy!
But on the flip side, I have always adored Monster Hunter ever since I picked up the first iteration on the PlayStation 2. My hands are shaking, my boots are quaking at the monster that has been baking. Fuck! And I have adored the combat. I still maintain and would argue heavily for Monster Hunter having just the best third-person action combat ever. But there's something deeply satisfying about having actual, tangible, this happens and you do this, deal with it mechanics that are granted sometimes arbitrarily binary, but they are effective and they work really well to give a I did it when you pull them off. And what do I mean? I'm kind of speaking in generalities here. And by the way, this video essentially is Behemoth's great. I want to gush about it. Let me tell you why I really like it. Because the other new monsters have all been fantastic, but they've not inspired, well, this response in me. So while the hype is fresh, while I am just essentially only thinking about Daddy Behemoth, I want to sing his praises. Because there's a lot of people that are like, this is bullshit for Monster Hunter. What the hell is this? And I can totally get behind how he does break the mold, how he has abilities, mechanics, and how you're supposed to deal with things that don't technically feel Monster Hunter-y, and we'll kind of get on that. But look, alright, so, in your MMO, like WoW, you might get a debuff on you that says, in 5 seconds, you're going to drop fire underneath you that will kill anyone stood on it. So if you're in your pack of buddies beating down on some dragon and there's 19 other you and you stand there like la 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 in your own world and then drop fire under you and your friends and kill everyone, you're getting kicked and replaced. So what you have to do is, oh look, 5 seconds I'm about to drop fire, you run to the edge of the room, you drop the fire safely away from everyone, and then you run back. That essentially is a very simplistic mechanic, a boss mechanic, and you and 20 other people trying to orchestrate them and many more in a complex dance of strategy and execution is what makes boss fights in something like WoW so satisfying. Obviously they get much more cooler and in-depth, but that's a good example, the classic don't stand in the fire. And Behemoth is for the first time bringing that to Monster Hunter. However, I concede that I am always someone that's about that Monster Hunter creatures are animals. They are, first and foremost, natural, right? They are animals that are bosses. They're not bosses that are animals, and there is a distinct difference there. Whereas Behemoth, well, he's definitely a boss that's an animal. A boss, first and foremost, in the truest sense, with tangible, do this when this happens mechanics. And if it was just a random new monster that was just a normal official addition to the game, a new creature, a new discovery, then I'd be like,
this is bullshit.
But it's an excellently executed, exciting crossover from an MMO with, I would say, the second best raiding quality out of them all. The second best boss design, the second best mechanics, the second best overall feel of satisfaction when you and your team work together in perfect harmony to bring down the big bad. And look, I'm sorry, Final Fantasy XIV players, but WoW has the best raids, don't at me. And seeing that represented in Monster Hunter, I was initially skeptical. But to me, this is such a perfect blend, a perfect realization of what feels like a raid boss, but allowing you to use Monster Hunter's beautiful combat systems to get it done. And essentially, what I've realized is this Behemoth encounter is perhaps for me the perfect combat experience, at least boss-wise, in a game ever. Because it uses my favorite combat system to pull off, in a really stellar way, my favorite form of boss fight execution. The amazing tactile action, feel of hitting things with a greatsword, but with the satisfaction of dealing with mechanics with a strategy and a plan that you get from MMOs. Essentially an MMO where every raid boss is like Behemoth with Monster Hunter's combat system, I would die of happiness. And I hope that this has somewhat kind of made sense in what feels like essentially ramblings. It's kind of my initial take on this, but look, specific examples then. So in Monster Hunter, there is very rarely a when the monster does this, you have to do this, right? That does not come up often. There is the monster's doing this thing, you can deal with it how you want. You can dodge, you can dive, you can run, you can block, you can try and stagger it, you can flash it, you can trap it, you can, you have an entire arsenal of options, and it's a very much dance between you and the monster as you both respond and counter to each other's attempts to murderize their aggressor. Whereas Behemoth kind of breaks that free-flowing mold. And when you have something like the Chirobodis, I hope that's how it's pronounced, which essentially starts swirling a tornado around a chosen player, and then after a few seconds will drop the big, damaging, irritating, wall-blocking, Kashala-esque fucking-nado, and you have to see, oh, it's on me, I need to run to the edge of the zone and drop the tornado where it's not going to affect people. Now, this is still Monster Hunter, so you can flinch him out of it by attacking the head, or you can just spam flash him every single time. But the idea that we have a Monster Hunter monster that has a, this is on you, run to the edge of the zone, drop it off, come back, I mean, even more directly, the big-ass meteor you could only survive by standing behind rock that you previously had to prepare by dodging the falling comets, not letting Behemoth get too close to it so he doesn't break it, but you have to stay close enough when you think Behemoth is about to do it to get behind it. For those of you that play WoW, right, you can imagine the deadly boss mod timer of 15 seconds to big comet, 10 seconds, and then the raid leader's like, alright team, move to the rock right now, move to the rock, and then it just gets executed, and that feeling is brand new for Monster Hunter, at least in such a heavy sense. There's a couple monsters with a couple moves that have approaching binary deal with, but never like this. Just the example again of you get targeted with the rock that's gonna drop and stay there to be your safety net for the big boom. Alright, so it's making patches underneath me, I need to choose where this is going to fall. I can't just ignore it and dodge it like a normal monster attack. I need to think, where do I position this rock to make it easy for my team to stand behind it for the inevitable big boom? That's an element that you don't really have. An attack that is targeted you that you have to consciously not just dodge, but place in a strategically competent position for a future mechanic in the fight. That is awesome to me. It's not brand new for me and a lot of us because of, well, raiding in MMOs that a lot of us have experienced, but it's brand new in Monster Hunter, and it's a combination that I never knew that I needed, but now I'm absolutely enamored with. And I guess inherently, Behemoth, while at least I'm on full hype mode, is a perfect blend of two of my favorite systems for killing thing of all time, which needless to say makes it a stellar experience for me. I don't think every monster should be like this, not at all, but what it has done for me is a game that does execute bosses in this manner to this degree of fidelity would be something I would adore. I agree wholeheartedly that Behemoth does not feel like a Monster Hunter monster, but that's okay because it is a one-off crossover. I think on the flip side, wholeheartedly, it is a worthy, engaging, and brutally fun experience that tests an entire skill set that even the most thousands upon thousands of hours veteran hunters amongst us mayhaps have not actually had to do before. And that is lovely. You need only go online and see the cacophony of people going, "Why don't these random morons know how to stand behind a fucking rock at the right time?" It's just so sad. I just want to farm this fucking monster. But it also brings a little devilish smile to my face going, someone's never raided an MMO before or done a boss or a dungeon. Obviously, I don't want to actually be that guy, and it's fun to explain to people, alright, so you just have to go stand behind this when this happens, go take the tornadoes away, you gotta be careful with the threat and the tanking, okay, the enmity, and it's a really lovely realized system. They have so excellently made it feel like Final Fantasy Behemoth, but it still plays like a Monster Hunter hunt, and I guess essentially that's what I want to get across. Behemoth, to me, is my ideal example of mechanics blending with the combat systems of the game to create a really satisfying team-executed boss fight. And it's happened in Monster Hunter, of all games. That's both incredibly surprising to me, I'll admit, but also wonderful on so many levels. So I guess I throw the floor open to you guys. I want to know, if you have played something like Final Fantasy XIV or WoW, and you have raided and experienced boss mechanics typically found in those types of games, how are you liking Behemoth? And if you've never done any of that and only played Monster Hunter, how are you liking Behemoth? I feel like those two answers are probably going to contrast a fair amount. How are you on the difficulty? Are you leaning towards, it's a bit much, or are you like, no, this is satisfying, I like it, it's new ways of interacting with a monster to learn? Do you even agree that it doesn't feel like a monster, or would you be fine with more monsters having a, oh look, it's targeted you, you need to specifically execute this countermeasure, which again isn't the most done thing. So I really want to have a lovely little discussion to that end with you all, and that's my initial take. My opinion might change as I hunt him more, etc., but after the first evening, yes, please. And yes, Behemoth Probe, hopefully on Saturday. We have like a 2.5 hour raw recording of the whole experience, so look forward to it. It's gonna be a good one. My name has been Josh. Like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kind of relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.